Okay, so we got Dave Lee on the video here, chaos magician and author of books like Chaotopia and Breathwork. So we're just really having a chat today. And I was going to say to Dave, well, you know, with magic, obviously you can do workings for money and whatnot, but how about gambling? You know, because I'd contend it's a mugs game, especially like the lottery, because the odds are, and you know, yeah, you can win the lottery as long as you live for, I think it's something like 80 million years, you will win. So
Yeah.
the odds are against. But what do you think about, you know, gambling and using magic to at very least get you the edge or win?
It's a really popular thing, isn't it? In some areas, you see these books about how to win at gambling using magic, and yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a mugs game, really. Yeah, the lottery. Why not buy a ticket from time to time if you want, if it makes you feel good? And who knows, if maybe your magic will succeed one day, but it's highly unlikely. And if you're gambling. I mean, as for things like scratch cards and so forth, and the thing about gambling is that people get addicted to it. People get addicted to the dopamine rush of living on the edge kind of thing. And it's a remarkably unhealthy addiction. It's a ridiculous thing. So yeah, I wouldn't feed it. It depends on your own proclivities, really. If you're the sort of person that stands back from gambling and just sees it as a bit of fun, then maybe you could do some spells for it, but it's not the first, definitely not the approach of choice for making more money, I think.
No, well, I mean, as well, there's, you know, literally millions upon millions of people doing lotteries. So obviously you've got the, you know, probability is against you, but equally it's almost like those energies are there. I mean, how could you find, you know, and direct enough energy to, you know, part the Red Seas of all these millions of people, you know, metaphorically speaking. But yeah, again, you know, I mean, I say all this, but you know, years ago when I was a young chap, I don't know, maybe 1989 or so, you know, round about then, 1990, I was absolutely skint. So naturally one had to do workings and, you know, I mean, obviously it could have been coincidence and I didn't win millions, but I remember like phone bills and things like that. I think, God, I'm not going to be able to pay them. And then the lottery, it must have been 90s actually, the lottery came up with maybe 150, which was worth more then, and paid the phone bill. But I'm not saying that it was necessarily a direct result, but I would always say you're better off, you know, having channels for money, you know, world, because if you haven't got any channels, how's it going to come to you apart from incredible luck, you know? And
it's worth working on your luck, I think. I mean, you know, in the sort of northern magic world, there's this concept MAGICK, which is kind of like the modern translation. Well, it's not really translated as luck, but the modern implication of it is luck. Basically, someone who, through through personal integrity in their magic, develops power, and this draws things to them. So, you know, you expect, if you're on the right track as a magician, you should expect to get luckier as you get older. I've just looked out the window and seen a rainbow. I'll take that as a good omen.
I take that as a good sign. Oh, yeah, the Rainbow Bridge. Yeah, you can travel that to Asgard later on, can't you? Walk out of your window and Heimdall and all that there, and yeah, but we were talking about the luck, and I think the word you used, and I may be wrong in my pronunciation here, but it always looks to me like fylgja or something like that.
Yeah, fylgja. Yeah, this is an Old Norse word that is to do with perhaps the most powerful kind of spirit that will tend. As I read it, it follows a particular member of a family. It's something that you kind of inherit spiritually. It's something that's in your family lineage as a spiritual thing, but it will tend to focus on one person, and they will tend to get the fylgja. It means follower, basically.
Yeah, I
So
was
it's
going to say follower. Yeah,
around. Yeah, and it's the English equivalent in magic is fetch.
Oh
Really,
yeah,
it's the
that's right.
fetch. Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah.
it's kind of like a spirit that follows you around, but it's very much part of. It's kind of not part of you, and it also is part of you. As it goes with these spirits, it's paradoxical.
Travels with
But
DNA.
yes, it brings luck and power, and it brings responsibility as well. It's like if you don't engage with it properly, it can wreck your life. So
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting one, that, because it makes me think of my dad, my late father, who died like, I don't know, 2008, and he was in the Second World War, and in the early 30s he joined the military, and he saw incredible action. He always said, he could not make out why he wasn't killed. He'd walk across a minefield, didn't know it was a minefield, and someone behind him gets blown up, and he doesn't. Then some dodgy general wanted him dead, so he made him go up in his tank on a hillock in the North African desert to draw fire, and it was a death mission. So this general wanted him dead, but then the tank got hit, blown apart, but he got thrown out, and he only had a few scratches, and he had to pull his men out. Some of them were dead. It was terrible, and there was just so many incidents. And his opinion was, well, look, if the bullet's got your name on it, that's it. And it didn't have his name on it, And could we say that is the fylgja, or maybe.
yeah, it's certainly luck. It's certainly a form of personal power there. Yeah.
And with us talking about gambling, then. And I think you're absolutely right on that. It is the luck and the integrity and everything that you said. And I think there's a kind of a feeling that goes with luck. That something's going to work. You just got to, it's almost physical. It's certainly not internal dialogue, because that'll be saying, oh, I don't know, it might not work,
Yeah.
Whereas this... and it fascinates me that Norse and probably Saxon and the whole northern tradition, that idea of the, well, like we could say the fetch, because that's a more known word, isn't it? And then there's fetch wife as well, wasn't there? Fetch wife is another.
Yes. Now the fylgja or the fetch appears to you in various forms, and one of them is as a beloved figure, as an image of someone who is very desirable and very, someone you find very attractive. So it's a bit like the Jungian animus thing. It's so it's like that, and it can also appear to you as an animal. So
I've never had that. I've had it the other way around, right through my life. What you might call the fetch wife.
Yeah, with the
ever since
wife.
The romantic and
realization of this for a man, for someone who is attracted to women, a female version of themselves, as it were.
I guess so. And that's something I had all the way through my life, but never an animal. And I remember what made me, when I first read Brian Bates' Way of Weird.
Oh yeah, it's very enjoyable.
There's a fetch wife in there, isn't there? I think the monk chap.
It's about 30 years since I've read that.
I know, same with me, but I never forgot that, because I thought, yes, that really sums it up, and because it was something that I'd experienced, but I've never had the, as you said, like power animal thing at all. I don't think,
Yeah, it's just like there might be certain animals that that keep popping up into your life, and maybe other people see them around you. There's a famous passage in the sagas where this bloke is sitting there in the house, and this lad from another family runs into this young lad runs into the house and falls over, and the old bloke laughs at him, and the boy's outraged. How dare you laugh at me, sort of thing? You're insulting my dignity and saying I'm laughing at you, son, because you just tripped over your bear. You know, there's a bear spirit with you, and that means you're going to be very powerful. So it's like, you know, these animal images that are associated with people.
Yeah.
This is something, yeah.
Oh, that's so true. I think, I mean, over the years that I first came across the whole Norse myths, you know, because I had a primary school in a little village. Was as you imagine in England, a church kind of school, but you know, just Church of England. But the headmaster was absolutely an expert on folklore and the old traditions. And of course, he'd go to the church. But looking back, I think he truly was a heathen at heart. You know, because he absolutely knew everything there was to know. So you learned all of the Norse stuff, the Saxon, Celtic, anything that was folklore. You know, but then as I got older, you know, and read stuff and realised, hang on, you know, there's something in this, and I think with the Northern tradition, you know, and well, obviously other traditions around the world, but the one I know best, Northern tradition, and there's an incredible depth psychology there. You know, there's more soul lore, which I think Edred Thorson has gone into, hasn't he, with the whole aspects of
it's absolutely fascinating. A dear friend of mine for decades, Ingrid Fisher, she died last summer. A very aggressive cancer took her, but she wrote a few years ago a book called Germanic Psychology or Germanic Soul Law. I think it's going to be. And anyway, it's she was, you know, she was never quite happy with it, but in the end, when she knew she was at the end of her life, she gave permission for it to be published in its current form. And I've been asked to write one of the introductions to it to contextualize it. So that's an absolutely fascinating journey. I'm reading it. I'd read bits of it before, but it's the first time I've ever had the entire manuscript in my hands. So I'm working through it.
Out until you've done that.
It's very, very rich.
Well,
yeah, it's a very rich thing, the Germanic Soul Law. Yeah.
Absolutely got to get that one. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, so we went really from gambling to I think the most powerful the fylgja from the Norse traditions, which is, you know, so in the end it is all about luck, and I suppose gambling, money and these things, and well, they're about many things, certainly money, but you know, the luck, I think we'd sum it up, is the key thing, and particularly what we've been talking about in the Northern tradition. You know, there's fascinating what I would call a fetch, or you said, you know, is I think that's a word at least people know more. And so it's looking for that, or even a power animal, if there are any kind of animals that just seem to be around you more, or someone seems to see something, like the bear in the sagas, and it's like, well, I can't see anything. Well, I just thought I saw this animal, you know. So yeah, so I think to sum up, yeah, it's all about luck. So okay, we'll stop here, and we'll see you all again. So thanks, Dave, for the chat. Okay.
You're welcome, Jimmy. Yeah.
Fare you well, everyone.
Cheers. See you.